Howdy diddly doodly. Today we're diving into the colourful, chaotic world of The Simpsons, created by Matt Groening. This iconic family first graced our screens back in 1989, quickly becoming a cultural phenomenon. The Simpsons isn't just a TV show, it's a global empire with everything from merchandise to movies and of course, video games. The show has influenced countless aspects of pop culture, capturing the hearts of millions with its unique blend of humour, satire and heartwarming moments. So let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit the 5 classic Simpsons games that were released on the Sega Mega Drive during the 90s. Plus I have a bonus game too at the end, so stick around for that. Grab yourself a donut or a Duff beer, sit back, relax and let's get started with our first game. Our journey begins with Bart vs. the Space Mutants, released in 1991 by Acclaim. In this side-scrolling platformer, Bart Simpson discovers that aliens are attempting to take over the world by building a weapon that will control human minds. Equipped with his trusty spray paint and They Live-inspired X-ray specs, Bart must foil the aliens' plans by collecting specific items in each level. Visually, it does have that Simpsons feel to it. The soundtrack is quirky, which matches the game's aesthetic, but Bart's quote, "Eat my shorts, man, every single time you die," which you'll be doing a lot of, does start to grate quickly. The game's challenging, with enemies appearing out of almost anywhere, and is one of those games where you will need to time your movements to perfection or risk losing a life. You'll use the spray can to change the colour of objects from purple to red, but some of them can be pretty hard to reach. The X-ray specs help you spot which of the adults are actually aliens in disguise, and then you simply jump on them to send them packing back to their home planet. Make sure you don't do this to a real human though. Despite its creative premise and Bart's quirky gadgets, this game is notorious for its high difficulty level. The controls can be clunky and the tasks often feel repetitive. However, the game's charm lies in that nostalgic value it brings and its representation of early 90s gaming. Next up is Krusty's Super Fun House, also released in 1992. In this puzzle platformer, you play as Krusty the Clown, who must rid his funhouse of a rat infestation. The game features various Springfield characters, including Bart and Homer, who help Krusty eliminate the pesky rodents. The gameplay involves leading the rats into traps by solving puzzles, which can be quite challenging and require a lot of trial and error. The graphics and sound capture the essence of the show well, making it a fun yet frustrating experience. This is one that you might need to check an online tutorial for if you're new to it, as it isn't obvious at first what you're required to do. Once I got the hang of it though, I did find it to be pretty fun and quite addictive. There's something satisfying about seeing the rat being smashed to pieces by Bart's boxing glove contraption. This game is very reminiscent of Lemmings, but instead of leading the little critters to safety, you're marching them to their demise. And this game is definitely worth checking out. As well as on the Mega Drive, it was also available on Game Gear, Master System, NES, Game Boy and Amiga, though they dropped the Super from the title, which was only included in the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo versions. Bart's Nightmare, released in 1993. Bart falls asleep while doing his homework and finds himself in a peculiar dream world. The objective here is to help Bart recover his lost homework pages, which are scattered across several levels, each with its own unique challenge and gameplay style. This was a new one on me, and I must say, not only does this game give us an insight into Bart's nightmares, it also gives you, dear viewer, a look at mine. What a bizarre and quite terrifying experience this was. It is absolutely horrifying, and I barely knew what was going on. I praise the art style on this one. It looks great, but it's just so strange. I'd be interested to hear from anyone who played this one, as I couldn't get past the first level. Let me know your memories of the game down in the comments. Now let's get over this fever dream and play something else. Released in 1994, Virtual Bart is almost as odd as the previous game. This one places Bart in a virtual reality machine, leading to a series of 6 minigames that vary wildly in style and difficulty. You might find yourself as Baby Bart leaping through the trees like a flying squirrel, or as Bartosaurus smashing through prehistoric times, or even riding a motorcycle in a post-apocalyptic future that seems to have been inspired by road rash. I quite liked the minigame that involved throwing tomatoes at your classmates and the teachers, though it did get old pretty fast. The minigame that involves playing as a pig is another surreal experience. Why did so many of these Simpsons games try to fuel our nightmares? And the other level involves a water slide, and I just didn't have a clue what to do on this one. I'm sure somebody watching this will be frustrated at my attempts to reach the bottom of the slide, as it's probably very simple, but I just didn't get it. Each minigame offers a different experience, some more enjoyable than others. The graphics are impressive for the time. Each game on the system seems to be a little bit better than the last in that regard. But the controls in this one can be quite unforgiving, though I suppose that adds to the challenge. Now let's take a look at something a little bit different. The Itchy and Scratchy game, released in 1995, was available on the Super Nintendo and Game Gear, but technically it was not a Mega Drive game, as it wasn't released commercially. Though a version does exist, and is actually more graphic than the SNES game, which apparently censored the characters' death animations. This game focuses on the violent antics of the cat and mouse duo Itchy and Scratchy. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up where you can control either character through various levels filled with slapstick violence and dark humour. If you remember the theme tune to Bart's favourite cartoon, you'll know that they fight, 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 and that is basically the premise here. You chase and bash the other character until their health meter reaches 0, which then opens up the boss level. And again, you then have to fight until your opponent quits to unlock the next stage. The first level is set in the Stone Age, and the song that plays in the background is almost identical to the Flintstones. I wonder how they got away with that. I like the sprites in this one. They're big and colourful, and it matches the level design. The music's brilliant too, and while the concept is true to the show's spirit, the gameplay can become quite repetitive. Still, it's a must-play for the fans of the chaotic cartoon violence that Itchy and Scratchy are known for. So that's all the Simpsons games that were available on the Mega Drive, but I've got one more bonus game for you. The two main consoles that I focus on this channel are the Mega Drive and the Sony PlayStation. Now, there aren't enough Simpsons games on the PS1 to warrant a follow-up video, so I'm opting to include the Simpsons Wrestling in this one. Released in 2001, this game was universally panned at the time of its release, and on pretty much every YouTube review video ever since. But is it really that bad? Yes. Yes, it is. This game lets you pick from a roster of Springfield's finest and not so finest characters to battle it out in a wrestling ring. And they do this without pulling off a single wrestling move. They'd have been better off calling it Simpsons Fighting, as they just kick and punch and swing weapons at each other. But if we can just be kind for a second, we can say that at least it does have some of that Simpsons charm in this game. Lots of the locations from around Springfield are included, and the audience watching the matches are made up of characters that you know and love. There's also some amusing lines said by the competitors, the commentator Kent Brockman, and the occasional heckle from the crowd. But all that said, the controls are extremely awkward, and it's a bit of a button masher, so the novelty wears off quickly. It's probably worth picking up a copy if you're a Simpsons completionist, But if you're looking for a wrestling game on PS1, then there are many better options out there. So there you have it, a nostalgic trip through some of the classic Simpsons games on the Sega Mega Drive, plus a bonus game on the PlayStation. These games capture the humour and the chaos of the show, though some definitely hold up better than others. Whether you love them for their nostalgia or you find them frustratingly difficult, these games are part of the Simpsons cultural legacy. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel further, then check out the membership options in the video description. Until next time, stay safe and keep gaming.
Welcome to Lee Carvallo's Putting Challenge. I am Carvallo. Now choose a club. You have chosen a 3-wood. May I suggest a putter? 3-wood. Now enter the force of your swing. I suggest feathered touch. You have entered power drive. Now push 7, 8, 7 to swing. Ball is in. Parking lot. Would you like to play again?